Happy Wine Wednesday, everyone.
Happy
I'm
wine.
drinking only some water. Uh, Joey, what are you sipping on?
I have a coffee here.
Coffee, okay? And it's going to keep you awake. Holly, what are you drinking?
I'm real boring. It's ice water.
Ice water. I have water too, so it's okay.
Refreshing.
Yeah,
Nobody has wine Wednesday.
yeah. Well, I'm not the one to have wine, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could understand that.
Anyways, so we're here with Joey from Joey's Reef. I'm sure if you follow the social media, you've seen the announcements. Joey is a new seahorse keeper. I think he's getting his seahorses soon. We'll talk about that in a second. And yeah, we'll just be talking about seahorse keeping for people who are new to the hobby. So, to start us off, Joey, could you tell me a little bit about kind of how you got into I know you like animals a lot and like how you got into seahorses specifically?
So specifically seahorses, I guess I've always found them quite fascinating, and it wasn't until recently that I realized it was something that people did as a hobby and kept them in the reefing community. And I think I just stumbled across some videos, and it kind of got me down the rabbit hole of learning about keeping them. And I found that so fascinating because when I keep animals, I always like to try to find the most natural way to care for them and to make sure they have the longest lives and the best thing that they can have. And with seahorses, it seems so challenging, and I think it would be kind of a nice thing to experience and learn in the saltwater hobby because I've done reefing for maybe 2 years now, and I've learned a lot in that realm. And I think I don't know, for some reason seahorses they grab my attention for sure.
Yeah, well they're definitely really special animals. So like what other tanks do you have currently going on? Like freshwater or
Currently,
salt?
I have a 40-gallon saltwater tank. I have the freshwater tank you can see behind me. This is a community tank with angelfish, platies, plecos. There's a lot of different things going on in there. And then in the other room, I have 3 tanks that I keep nanofish and shrimp that are freshwater as well.
You have a lot of aquariums going on.
Yeah, quite a few. I keep myself very busy with them. I also do keep crested geckos as well, and that's
Gecko.
kind of another side hobby that I do.
Oh,
Well,
cool.
you're certainly into animals. I wanna have that many animals one day.
It's a
Yeah, some
work, but
of
it's
us are zookeepers.
right. Yeah, yeah, kind of like that. It's I don't know, but it's just so fascinating. Keeps myself busy, and I love learning about animals. Since I was a young kid, I got my first gecko, I think, when I was maybe 4 years old. And since then, I've always just kind of progressed through many different animals. At one point, I had a parrot. I've kind of helped rescue a lot of different animals and rehabilitate and that kind of thing. And yeah, I don't know. Now I'm kind of, just kind of figuring out what I want to keep long term and set up some project tanks. And so the seahorse, they're just so fascinating. Just the other day, I was watching a documentary about them, and it's really amazing how many different things there are about them that you wouldn't ever think. And I don't know, I just do think it's so cool, and I commend you guys for what you do talking about them and trying to share that knowledge because it is something that is so scarce, and I think more people should talk about it.
Well,
Hmm.
that's what we try to do. It's I feel like the community has been going. It's on the decline right now a little bit. But yeah, it's really they're great to keep, and they're so special even just compared to other like saltwater fish. But you were saying that you
They're
watched.
very unique. Yeah,
Yeah,
compared to other fish, I found, especially their personalities. They have a lot of personality compared to many
yeah,
fish.
Yeah, to
yeah.
see, and that's what's kind of another thing that's probably gravitated me to them is they do seem so personal. Like you have a few videos where you're in there hand feeding them on your hand, and it's just I can't think of a reef fish that I could ever put my hand near. The clownfish will bite you as soon as you go in there, right?
We were just talking about that last week. Yeah, we those.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you, when are you getting your seahorses? Do you
So
know?
I'm
Like,
working. I'm trying to work it out. I think I've decided to go with the Cultured by Science, the same people I believe you got yours from, and they're kind of in the middle of something right now. So it's either going to be this weekend or next. I might aim towards next to give myself a little bit more time to put the tank a bit more together. I just want to maybe get them some more macroalgae and things like that for them to feel more comfortable. But I think so. He did send me some more videos, so I'm just kind of in the midst of deciding which ones I want and all of that, which is pretty exciting.
okay. Yeah. No, that is. It's probably one of the most exciting times. I'm sure, Holly, you can agree that it's a really exciting time
Yeah,
when you finally get to pick them out. Now,
yeah.
what are you kind of looking at in terms of like age, sex, or like amount of seahorses that you're getting?
So I've decided to just go with a single pair. My tank is about 35 gallons roughly, and from the research I've done, that's suitable for a single pair of the Erectus seahorse. And from discussions me and you have had, and Ray as well, I will have to go with seahorses that are appropriate age, being 5 months or older and eating frozen foods. Originally, I was going to go with a pair or a group of seahorses that a seller had, and he was very pushy with them. They were really young, and I figured with my knowledge and maybe if I pushed myself to learn, I might be able to. And I'm sure that I maybe would have, but I just decided not to go through with the whole risk of everything. And also, I don't really want to support somebody that's pushing stuff like that. I don't think that's really ethical and not part of something that I would want to support. So I'm aiming towards getting some that are eating frozen, good age, and hopefully I can pick out. And with them, they seem really knowledgeable and good with that. So I should be able to choose a male and a female that are roughly the same size, and that should be good.
Nice, nice. That's really best, I think, because when you're getting them, basically what you were going to be getting is fry. They
Yeah,
weren't
usually.
eating frozen yet, and you don't know the background on them if they're healthy to begin with.
No.
You might end up
Yeah,
losing them, and it's not even your fault.
yeah.
So
That was what was another rabbit hole I went down. It was so fascinating to learn because seahorses, like they have their, that's almost their survival. The way they survive is by producing a lot of babies, but only a percentage of them survive. And even in
yes,
captivity, you only get, even the best breeders only get a small percentage that survive. And, I think Ray taught me a lot about that. And that helped me understand that is like, even if I chose whichever ones is they genetically might be deemed to just pass in a few weeks or months,
yeah.
and so
Yeah.
I don't want to
And
end up with that, but I want to be successful
they're
with it.
very labor intensive to raise, and we've
Yeah.
had successful breeders that had over a 90% success rate with them.
Oh wow.
We're talking on a big commercial level, like the huge
Yeah.
tanks, and it takes a lot really to successfully raise seahorse fry.
For
There's a
sure.
lot to it. So it's something you can definitely learn as you go,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I did, but I don't think I'd want to start with that right
No.
off with
Yeah.
fry instead of an adult seahorse. But you'll love your adult seahorses, and they'll probably be having fry if you're getting a male and female.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you'll get to do that part too, most likely.
For
Yeah.
sure.
They are. I know that my fry, like, they haven't survived. I had like four and a half. The half is a different story, but
Mhm.
I had like four batches, something like that, and they didn't survive. And it felt honestly like the breeder that you were gonna get them from, he was pushing because he did potentially know that he didn't have that great of a success rate. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 No, you're taught so I know that you have a 35 gallon, you want to get some macroalgae. So are you looking at a more natural tank with like sand, rocks, corals,
Yeah.
macroalgae?
So I after going through a bunch of different things, I gravitated towards the Berlin style that I seen in Ray's website with the no sand, very clean, and I've already kind of put it together with some live rock that already has some like mushroom corals. There's some Kenya trees. There's a devil's hand, some GSP, and a lot of safe soft corals. And so yeah, I'm aiming towards just keeping it a very natural tank. No sand, just the live rock, and there's also the dragon's breath macroalgae and a species of capulera, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But I would like to get a few other taller types, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds very pretty already. So,
Yeah.
do you
Yeah,
have your rock and corals and everything in it now ready?
yeah, they're all in there. They've been in there for almost a week now. The maybe I just moved them over there, and everything. It's no
Uh-huh.
difference from them being in the reef tank. They've taken to it quite well, and it seems
Very
to be doing.
cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait
And
to see it.
yeah, the advantage you have is that you're bringing them from your reef tank, so you know that they're good. They're not filled with
Exactly.
pests, which is
Mhm.
No, yeah, that was the best part too, and even that, like the bristle worms and all that, I was able to try to make sure that I made sure I got as minimal as possible of anything that I don't know would produce too much waste or whatever, and so I did have a good way of doing that, and yeah, no, it worked out perfectly, and I'm not overly concerned about anything because my reef's been going strong for so long and I've never come across any issues. So I don't think I'll worry about any algae blooms or anything in the beginning. I think it's probably pretty cycled right off the bat because I did even the media and everything. The water itself, I just did a water change to start up the Seahorse tank, and then from there I over filtrated the tank and then did a couple of water changes through that from there. And so it's been pretty stable. All of the parameters have remained stable. I even did a test that Ray suggested with ammonia to see, and the following day it was back to zero. So that's really good.
Cycling. Yeah, very cool.
yeah. Well, it seems yeah. I at the start definitely you want to make sure that all your levels are really good. After that, most of us don't do water level testing. Probably better to do a few,
Yeah,
but I'm sure you know the signs that something is kind of going
yeah.
awry
I'm sure
with your
it'll be
tank.
similar. When I got into the reef tanks, I was for maybe a couple months. I was crazy about every little detail, and I've kind of learned
Yeah.
to watch for things and then know what to do. And so I'm sure I'll kind of get accustomed to that with the seahorses as well.
And it's great that you have that experience. Just for anyone who doesn't have that experience, it is it's harder to go into a seahorse tank just because the way they eat, the amount they eat, or like some people say reefs are harder, some people say seahorses are hard. It kind of depends. But it's hard to go into them without ever having. I went into them fully without ever having any saltwater knowledge, which was more complicated than kind of having the knowledge and then knowing the signs.
Yeah, fair enough.
Do you want me to share the photos of your tank now?
Yeah, sure. You can go ahead and do that.
All right. Because I want to, hold on. Takes a while. All right. Can you guys see that?
I can see the screen, but it's
Yeah.
very tiny. There we go.
There we
Now,
go.
let's see.
So, Joey, can you tell us what this is?
So this is the aquarium. It's a cube, 3035, and you can see the live rock. And in this photo, all the corals are closed up. I think these were initially after I moved them over to the tank, but there is the purple you can see is kind of the GSP, and there's a few different. The red is that macroalgae I was talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's pretty simple. There's no sand,
Okay.
just straightforward. It has built-in filtration, so I may need to cover up the intake. I'm not sure if their tails will be able to fit in there, but I'll have to see if that's something I'll have to do. And then it just kind of circulates in the back. It's almost like a sump in the back of the tank, and I got a new pump for it that I can adjust the flow rate according to what they will need. And I think it'll be sufficient enough to keep all the debris up off of the bottom, and it also makes it easy to go in there manually if I need to and clean it up.
Well, it's definitely something that some people prefer, just because, it depends on what you want it to look like, and also like kind of if you think that it's just better not to have to deal with that. And is this, like, over here where my mouse is this where this is intake?
Yes, that is one intake. That would be like the lower one, and then the one at the top is like a straight above it is the other one. They're connected.
Now, Holly, would you say their tails can, like, would that be a problem?
I don't think so. I'm having trouble seeing like the size of the slot.
Very small, like maybe a centimeter width, and it's not like there's any power motors in there. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
I
just
don't know
where
if
that
that's something
sucks
to
the
get
water up. So yeah, that'll be fine. They're not going to get stuck in there now. The babies could. The younger
Yes.
juveniles, when they're like an inch or so, they're prone to getting stuck
Okay.
places because they're just tinier.
Yeah,
But your adults, I'd
Okay.
say, if they're like about 3 or 4 inches at least, you're probably fine there.
yeah. Is there anything
Okay.
really that's like, how much is moving behind, like right behind? Is there anything, are there any like motors or anything back there that,
No, so that's what I was going to say. Like even the power itself is in the bottom left corner of back there, and so the water kind of has to go across and through, and even that is covered. But I wouldn't be worried about that. I was more in the one group. I think it was for dwarf seahorses though, and they maybe suggested because their tails could potentially get stuck just between the plastic.
Yes,
But
yeah.
yeah,
So just look when you get your seahorses, make sure their tails aren't skinny enough to go inside of those slots. And
for
then if
sure, and
they
it wouldn't be
are, then all
to,
you have to do is cover it with some kind of netting
yeah,
like window screen or something. So not
for
a
sure.
big deal.
now I'm looking in this tank and I'm wondering, do you have any like power heads? What's that orange thing up at the top? Is that a mag?
That's a magnetic glass cleaner. No, there's no internal equipment at all. There's nothing inside of the tank
Okay.
that would be an
And
issue at
how are
all.
you finding your water flow? Because that's something we talk about quite a bit. Like, would you say, how strong is it kind of compared to your reef tanks? I would think it's less.
It's much. The reef tank has a lot of circulation. Even for a 40-gallon, there's like two or three power heads. One is like a 300 gallon per hour power head, and then it has an 80-gallon hang on the back filter as well. This is, I would say, moderate. I've had it kind of on the lower end, and then when I get them, of course, I'll adjust to see what they'll need. But definitely much slower than the reef tank for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a really nice tank. I really like it.
Mhm.
Um, Here, I will go through the
Sorry.
rest of the pictures as well.
Sure.
And who's this?
Yeah, this is one of my clownfish that in my reef tank there. You can
Yeah.
see lots of the corals behind him as
It is a
well.
really nice tank. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's very
appreciate it.
colorful.
like this. Yeah.
Yeah, I try to keep it as natural as I can, and I find it so fascinating. Like since I was a kid, I've always wanted to go scuba diving or whatever. I've never been on a plane or to a beach, but I find it so amazing that I can almost create one in my house and enjoy
Yeah.
it. And it is
Yeah.
something it's fun. Like even the Seahorse tank, that tank I got last year from somebody, and it had a lot of work that needed to be done. I resealed it and fixed the glass on the back and had to get the new pump and everything. And it's kind of nice when you can do that and bring something old back to
Yeah.
life.
It
Very cool.
definitely. I got one of my tanks from Ray, and no, it was a very good tank. It was just a little bit in rough shape just because of like the algae buildup, but it's definitely really nice to be able to.
Yeah.
All right. This
You, older tanks are more stronger too.
And
Yes.
then this is also your reef tank over here.
Yeah, that's a shot with the magnifying glass.
Wow.
See the little grass in there.
Yeah, it is super pretty. I will stop now.
That
Yeah,
tank
and there's
looks
even
cool. It looks really shallow. Is it shallow and long?
yeah. So I moved recently, and when I moved, I took the opportunity to switch tanks because I had it in a taller
Uh-huh.
tank, and I decided to switch over because it's I don't know something about it being lower. Especially when I'm feeding the tank, it's nice to be able to stand over it and look at it from the above angle because the corals are the way that they grow. It almost is like they're going to the light, and so they
Yeah.
kind of it's like a flower, and so it really is so beautiful to see from that
Yeah.
angle.
Yeah, I like
And
that
and
tank.
yeah, it's very enjoyable. And I since I've set up the other tank, I've moved a lot of rock work around too. So eventually I'll show you that. But it's pretty nice because it's nice to have open space, and it's cool because I've been growing a lot and learning fragging as well. Like I
Oh,
don't know if you can make out there's some Gargonians up there, and I'm trying to figure out how to go about fragging them next, so I can try to have some in the Seahorse tank as well,
very cool.
which was kind of cool as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, when I started my grow out tank when I was raising my juvenile seahorses, I did like you. I put the tanks like lower, like it's lower, so I can reach
Yeah.
in because it's easier to take care of them when you can reach
Yeah,
see
definitely.
everybody and see
Mhm.
what's on the floor that you need to clean up. Yeah, a lot easier.
Yeah,
One thing
yeah.
you
When
might
the
want
tall
to
tank
think
gave me too
about
many.
in the seahorse tank, seahorses do enjoy high flow, but not all over the tank. They like variety. So you might want to put
Uh-huh.
one thing like one power head, or what I use and Ray like to use is called a quick filter. And it's basically a power
Okay.
head that sits on a
Mhm.
little filter.
I have one
And
back here.
Oh,
yeah, she's got one too. And so
okay.
it helps provide extra filtration for the tank, which is good for them because they're very
Yeah.
dirty fish. And then plus it adds a
Yes.
little flow, and you might find some of them will like to sit
Mhm.
right in front of it, like they're getting
Yeah.
like they like that. So
Your videos.
my
Uh,
juveniles, they used to love, they'd sit in a row on the return nozzles and
oh yeah.
their head right in the water coming out of the return nozzle, and their heads would be going like this, but they liked it. And then of
Uh,
course they could get out, when
yeah.
they wanted to, but it might be like a shower for them or something, they like they just
Yeah. For
enjoy
sure.
it.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, yeah, for sure. I'll definitely consider adding. I probably even have one that I could add in that if I need be, or even like if I could turn up the power to that one that's in there
Mhm.
and set up some type of a post for them where they could hang out in front of it, and
Yeah.
perhaps that would give them because then the other side of the tank would be more mellow, and
Yeah, they
then
like
they
the
can have the
variety
stronger.
because they like to sit quietly sometimes and other times they want to be swimming against the current. They
Uh,
play in it, so
for sure.
They
Well, that's really cool.
yeah. Well, I wanted to ask if you had any questions for us that we could answer.
Uh, I have any questions off the top of my head? Holly, how long have you kept seahorses?
well, this time around it's been about 7 years, and this is my most successful time keeping them because my first time was back in 1989. I was 19 years
Oh wow.
So it was a very long time
Yeah.
ago. And I had started with just simple saltwater fish. I had, some damsels. I kept a saltwater tank for a while. And then what I really wanted was seahorses. So I got
Yeah.
some seahorses in a pet store. Um, didn't even say what kind they were. Back then, I'm looking back. I'm pretty sure
Oh,
they were erectus because that's the most common kind
okay.
we get around here. But
Yes.
we didn't know how to take care of them back then. We didn't have the
No.
internet, and there was like some outdated books, and things.
Oh,
But I didn't keep them successfully. I had those ones, I think, about 6 months. And then my
okay.
next
Yeah.
time around was 2007, 2008. And by then, the internet was kind of getting going to where, there was groups and things. And I
Yeah.
had a pair of reed eye from Seahorse source.
Okay.
And at this
Oh, okay.
time, I had a little tank of dwarves. And the dwarves didn't go well. They were shipped to me from Florida along with tank mates,
Mm,
which were
I
which
see.
ended up being pests mostly because they came with Callurpa and it had hydroids. So they had
Oh no.
hydroids, and so they only lasted me a few
Oh,
weeks. The reed eye, I
yeah.
want to say I had about a year. I had like other fish and little corals with them. I had a small tank. It was like a 35-gallon, but I had, a few little things
Okay.
with them, but I also had a heater in the tank that shorted out
Yeah.
in the
Uh,
tank and electrocuted
oh no.
everybody overnight. And so
Oh,
this is definitely my most successful time around with seahorses.
well,
And
that's
now,
good.
thanks to this group and others, on Facebook, basically, I had expert help this time around with questions and
Yeah.
things, and people that have been doing it for years, like Ray. So
Hmm.
it was definitely a lot easier this time around. I mean, heck, I've even been able to raise fry. I never would have been able to do that because I
Yeah.
think Ray was one of the people that told me, off the bat, my first batch of fry I lost, and he said, try using peroxide to clean the brine shrimp. Enrich your
Oh yeah.
enrich the freshly hatched brine shrimp, clean them with peroxide, and then feed them. It was a game changer. I
Yeah.
didn't have
Wow.
this
Yeah.
after that in the same way I had been.
Wow.
It's because
That's
seahorses
great.
in general are so prone to bacterial infections.
Yeah.
That's the main thing
Uh,
you lose them to. They're sensitive to high organics in their water. And
I see.
that's
Yes.
why we need such major filtration and good housekeeping of the tank is because in the wild they only eat live food. So they lack their
Yeah.
gut lack the ability to process, spoiled food. So they're prone to infections
Hmm.
from things. So that's the one thing you really got to watch out for keeping them.
Yeah.
Other than that, they're pretty hardy fish, actually.
Yeah. So I also
Well, that's good to know.
I
Hmm.
heard, I think you mentioned that you might be growing live food for them. Or are you still doing that, or what are you?
I've been I did get a little. Sorry, I did get a little contraption for breeding or not breeding, hatching brine shrimp, and I've kind of just been playing around with it for fun. And I have lots of fish that will eat them if I decide to feed them to them. And so I may, if I can figure out to grow them to adulthood, maybe just as like a occasional treat or
Hmm.
something, try to give that as well. But I figured why not? I have the setup, so I've got it going a couple times now, and it's pretty simple to do, and yeah, kind of trying to. And then I have actually been trying. That's actually a good question. Is like, Holly, if I may ask, where are you from? Are you from Canada as
I
well?
No, I live
So
in
do you guys?
Northern California.
Okay. And I don't know if you would know, but I can't seem to find any good resources for like a live food
Cultured
for
by
a seahorse
science.
that we could get here.
I
And what would you recommend to have?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I never feed live foods to my adults.
Never,
Depend on
eh?
frozen mysis, other than as an occasional treat. Like, and I haven't given
Okay.
them live food in years because honestly, when I did, they weren't that interested in it because they're used to eating their frozen mysis.
Yeah, fair
Now,
enough.
when you're raising fry, they eat only live food at first until you transition them to the frozen mysis. And if you have
Yes.
fry, you're going to be hatching a lot of brine shrimp because they will go through it. And when you feed them the brine
Yeah.
shrimp, they don't have the right nutrition for the seahorses. So you
No.
have to enrich them. And then, like I said, you give them like a 5 minute uh, bath in peroxide water, the live brine shrimp, before you feed them to the seahorses to kind of clean them up so they don't bring in any bad bacteria.
mhm.
But
Yes.
once your
Okay.
seahorses are adult, you don't need to feed them live foods. If you want to feed them live foods, there's a guy called U.S. Mycids that's in the United States. I
Okay.
don't know if you can get stuff from the United States there, like live food. Is that an option
Yeah.
for you, or you have to get it in the
I'm not sure. It's maybe, but it depends on like there's certain CITES and things that you have to go through. It depends. I'm just looking into
hmm
the this now, but with reptiles and stuff, I know that
Mhm.
it's possible, but there's a lot of paperwork and stuff that you have to do.
Yeah.
So it
You
might be
might want to
similar.
contact him and see if he knows. It's U.S. Mycid
Yeah.
is the name
Okay, that's
of
good to
his business, and yeah, even
know.
like he might know a source for you up there. Um, Other
Yeah,
than
which is
that,
something that
it's pretty much
I was curious about because it would be
hatching or
interesting.
yeah.
Wait, sorry, Holly, I was not listening. Who were you suggesting?
I said otherwise, if you can't find a source, a supplier of the live food where you are, um, there's the option of hatching your own, like you do with the brine shrimp.
Yeah. Now, Joey,
It's
Okay.
cultured by
harder
science.
to keep other things like the mysis and mysids. The reason we feed the seahorses frozen is because those are so complicated to raise, and you would need so
Uh,
many of them that it's not feasible for a hobbyist
I
Mhm.
because of
see.
how much the
I
seahorses eat and how hard it is to get those through their life stages.
Yeah.
fair
Like
enough.
some of them
Yeah.
eat each other. I think mysis eat each other too. So
Oh
you
wow.
have to separate the babies from the
Yeah.
adults, and they have special requirements. So that's why we feed the seahorses frozen.
Well, that's good to
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
I did use copepods also when I was feeding fry. I raised copepods,
Okay.
which are super easy to raise, but you need
Yeah.
tons of them. And
Yeah.
so, really, brine shrimp are the best.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Cultured by science. Last time when I asked, because anyways, my seahorses were going through a phase, and I had wanted to buy live food. I asked
Oh,
Cultured by Science if they could give me like brine shrimp. They said they could grow them out for me, but I'm pretty sure they'll probably tell you that they don't recommend it. They just come with more, not like diseases, but like problems that they could cause for the seahorses. So honestly,
They're
I'm
fair enough.
dirty. They're dirty.
Yeah.
They can bring in the bacteria. So, anytime you're feeding the seahorses the brine shrimp, you want to use a peroxide bath to clean them before you put them into the tank.
hmm Yeah.
So that's the main thing is they can cause the bacterial infections that we try to prevent.
Yeah. Those.
Hatching brine shrimp is dirty.
Yeah.
They're dirty.
They are, and they require like a lot of cleaning to keep them like. Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
I have, like, you can't see my whole room, but like ahead of me, I have a room that used to be my library. That when my seahorses started having fry, it turned into a brine shrimp hatchery.
Oh wow.
Literally almost a whole room. And we're
Oh wow.
talking about raising, I only raised, I'd have maybe like, I think 60 fry at a time,
Oh wow. Yeah.
trying to feed. So if you're doing it, if you're trying to raise seahorses on a larger scale, it takes a lot of space.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Especially
wow.
since when you're doing a rectus, you gotta remember that they get big. When you
Yeah.
get them, like, if they're young and they're only 3 inches or so, like this, they're so cute little. My seahorses are close to 9 inches now. At,
Wow.
at,
Yeah.
and that's why we recommend the sizes of tank that we do, because
Yeah.
you might start out little, but they're going to be a little bigger than your cell phone when they grow up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's very cool.
And now we have a question. Is it possible to switch between live and frozen food, like having 3 meals of frozen and one live? And I don't know the answer to that. So, Holly, what do you think?
I I would say live food, like I was saying, you don't really even need it if you're feeding them frozen mysis. And if they're erectus, they can just live off frozen mysis. So your live food's really extra. So you can feed it, anytime, as one extra meal a day or every few days, or think of it as a treat. It's not their nutrition. Now, the exception to that is people who are actual breeders. Sometimes they're trying to condition a breeding pair by giving them live foods.
Okay.
And
Okay.
specifically, what you would use for that, I think the best live food would to be actually use frozen, not frozen. I always say that because that's what mine mainly eat. But live mysis
Okay.
is the most nutritious. It's the best for them.
Yeah.
But really, you got to think in the wild they'd be eating like a lot of little crustaceans and things that isn't really feasible for us to get, on a hobbyist level. But
Hold on. So for anyone who's like really beginner, like how I started, like no saltwater knowledge, I would definitely say the seahorses that you're getting, which they should be, are eating frozen foods.
mhm.
Don't try to go into that yet, or at least like just know that it's like a huge thing to undertake. Joey has more experience with the whole saltwater thing already, so it's a little bit easier for him to do that. But for someone who's just starting, again, not recommended. It's easier to just do frozen foods.
Yeah, I
Another thing
Ovopods.
too about bringing in live foods is you have the possibility of bringing in diseases and
Mhm.
bacteria and stuff. So unless you really know what you're doing, you have experience with keeping saltwater creatures, and you're interested in breeding, and you have the kind of background knowledge on these foods already to know what you're doing,
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily get into the live food stuff.
Did you have anything else to add to that, Joey? Because I have another question for you, but
No, I don't think so.
no. Okay. I know we were talking about temperature of the aquariums, and you were saying that. So okay, wait, hold on. What temperature do you keep your seahorse aquarium at?
The seahorse tank, I've been trying to keep it at like a 73 to 75 range and trying to keep it lower. And I have no heater going on it. It's just the pump that's in there, and I'm trying to right now figure it out with the by keeping the back of the aquarium open or not is allowing the heat to escape, and it's kind of trying to figure out what I need to do to keep it at a controlled lower temperature for the seahorses. With the reef tank, it's a lot easier because it's much warmer. But for whatever reason, I'm a little bit trickier at keeping that room cooler, I guess. But
Yeah.
it's been
And
pretty stable. Sorry.
I would go even lower. I would try not to let it get past 73, just
Yeah.
for those
Okay.
bacterial reasons, because at 74 is when bacteria levels grow profusely.
Mm-hmm. Now,
So,
Okay.
I was wondering because you say that your pump is heating up your water. Is
Yeah,
it
I think the friction of the pump and the movement, I've noticed it before. It's just and because this tank has like the lid on it is pretty sealed for the
Mhm.
condensation, and just that alone creates enough heat that it builds up
mhm.
like pretty quickly. I've noticed if I do leave it closed.
Mhm. Now, Holly, have you noticed the same thing? Because I have never noticed that any of the pumps in my aquarium heat up the water.
Well, I'll tell you, they heat up my house. I've
Oh,
noticed since I had the aquariums, all the equipment that you have running, all the pumps and things like that. Yeah, they do produce heat. Everything, the lights, yeah, your stuff
okay.
produces heat, and
Yeah,
especially since it sounds like your tank is kind of like an all-in-one, right? With the in the
yeah,
back
essentially.
is you said, so it's all built into one thing. I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah,
what Kelly has right now. That's like Kelly's all-in-one tank.
Yeah.
And so you have all your equipment concentrated in that little body of
yeah,
water. So that I could see that. Yeah.
Ray is
Like
suggesting
Ray's comment, yeah, is yeah,
that
try
a good fan.
fans. A fan can drop a degree or two.
yeah,
If you're somewhere like me, see where I live, I'm in the Sierra Cascades, which is kind of mountain area. So we go through very hot summers and very cold winters. So I actually have to keep a chiller for my tank for
yeah.
summer, and I have a heater,
Okay.
a flow through heater. I don't have a heater in the tank, but I have a heater in the plumbing where the water flows through the heater and into the
Oh,
tank,
Mhm.
because my temperature
yeah, yeah.
can swing like 30 degrees in a day. You know, sometimes this time
Nice.
of year. So it all kind of
Yeah, wow.
depends on your climate, but they can do fine to the upper 60s. Like a lot of times my tank runs 67 in winter.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so if you keep it, just try to keep it below that 74.
Mhm.
And if it's just fluctuating in a day by like 4 or 5 degrees, that's not going to hurt them. They're not as sensitive to that as some fish are. You just don't want a huge temperature
Yeah,
swing during the day.
Now, are you doing any sort of like
yeah.
tank mates, like fish, shrimp, hermit crab, snails?
I don't think I will do any fish or anything like that. I'll probably do some. The name is slipping my mind. Tortoise snails, just for cleaning algae, and I did toss a little blue leg hermit crab in there. See if he
They're
Those
right.
are
becomes a
cool.
problem. I can put him back in the reef tank. But
They
Yeah.
should be
yeah,
fine.
nothing too crazy. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm one of those 7 years
Other
old
than
with my seahorses. He's lived with them the whole time.
oh, that's
The
cool.
blue jay
Oh,
kermits are usually fine with the seahorses. I've had many of them,
Yeah.
and
I mean,
oh,
yeah,
good
I
to
they
would
know.
do well.
recommend. I would
Yeah.
recommend watching him a little bit. I think the blue-legged ones are just nicer in general, but still,
Hmm.
just watch him because I mean, I had a red one who still does sometimes grab onto my seahorses and
If they want to walk
Oh,
on
no.
him, the thing is, their feet are sharp. The
yeah,
crabs, they
they
have
like
those pointy
Yeah.
grab.
feet,
Right.
so they walk on the
Yes.
seahorse. They can penetrate its skin and poke
Oh, there
holes
he
in it
is.
with their
Yeah.
feet. But they usually
Yeah.
figure out, they'll learn, like my crabs learned, like the seahorses, would shake them off, or the crabs didn't want to hurt the seahorses, it seemed.
Hmm.
So they learned
No, they're just
pretty
looking for something flying
stay
on.
off of them.
Yeah.
But if you have like one that's just a little problem crab, then you might have to relocate it. But
Oh,
in
Yeah,
general,
for
they're fine.
sure.
I want to hear. Okay, so I think you did watch mostly, or at least most or all the episode of last week. But I was wondering because I
Yes.
know we were debating whether team snail or team like crab, hermit crab sort of
Oh,
thing. Do you have a side on this?
I think I would. I love them both, but I think I would go with the snails because there's something about the
Snail.
reef snails that they're like, I don't know, they're just so like majestic. Especially the tortoise snails, they have these like cool flaps on their
There's
head
some
and some
cool.
different colorations and stuff, and yeah, and they move pretty quickly for a snail, and so I do find myself watching them for some time because they're so fascinating and very sufficient at
Yeah,
cleaning algae as well.
Hmm.
yeah. It is. Yeah, I think a snail. I have never heard of that type of snail, so I don't really know what they look like. I
I
will
have.
search them
They're
up.
one of the cooler snails. I've never
They have
had.
They have.
Yeah,
Wait.
they're
Hold
my
on. Let me.
favorite. I only ever rarely see them available.
Horse.
Maybe look it up and share with us, Sophie, on your screen.
Like which one? How do you spell it?
Here, let me see.
I think it's Porchus,
Crochet?
You
Crochus?
got it. That's
like
Or
a torch.
torch?
correct.
Porchus.
Yes.
Wait.
I
Like
think I
one
can
second.
do it.
Like these guys?
I've seen them. I've never had one.
Like that? Oops.
I never had fancy snails.
Oh,
But yeah,
Yeah,
they're so
I don't know. Can
cool.
you see it? I'm not sure if you can see it.
yeah.
Is it that one? Like the you see the one? Okay, well it's
Hmm.
not.
You got it. The purple kind of
But
stripes. Yeah. Yeah, they're my
hold
favorite
on. I will
snail. If
share
every
my
time.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, Trochus.
hold on. Let me share my screen and we'll show. Uh window.
Oh, you know what? I had a couple of those years
Okay,
Oh,
ago.
and
for
Ray
anyone
said
who's
limpet
wondering,
snails. That's a good idea.
I have a bunch of limpets
Yeah.
right now. They're kind of cute, but they're not very exciting. They just sit there.
what are
And then
limpets?
I accidentally
Yeah.
siphon them up when I'm cleaning the tank and I have to throw them back in.
Oh, these things?
Yeah.
Oh wait, are
I
those
have
good?
those too. Yeah, they're like flat snails.
Wait, guys, are these good for my aquarium?
Yeah, they're beneficial. They're like, I mean, some people
Oh,
think they're pests because they populate faster than other snails,
Yeah,
but I
berries
personally
too.
don't mind them. I've never seen an issue with them. I've actually noticed they do take care of. There's one algae that occasionally pops up, and they'll like get rid of it by the morning time.
oh.
What
Like
is
I
the
have a lot of
snail that goes under the sand that has the head that sticks out?
Oh, Ray
Can't
said they're
think of what
not
those.
snails.
Those are
yeah.
cool.
Well, I mean they're the same idea as snail. I have I have a conch in my aquarium, and I love conches. They're so.
It's
Here, one
fascinating.
second.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Here, hold on.
I
I
haven't
love.
gotten one of those. That would be cool to get.
Here for anyone. Okay, this is what I have in my aquarium. It's not a snail. It's a conch. I don't know really. They're really strange. They're like these things.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
This is what I
great
have.
conch. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
very
Um,
cool.
I love it. Yeah, it's really cute. You'll see him sometimes. Sometimes I won't see him for like a week to a month because he's just under the sand. Um, but yeah, they when they do come out, they're super cool. Uh, yeah.
Oh, Necarius. That's the one I'm thinking of. Those are really
Um,
cool.
yeah, they're the ones. I have a few of those, and every time I feed the tank, they emerge up from the sand. It's
They
so
come
cool.
out. Yeah,
Yeah,
those are cool snails. I always wanted one of those. I haven't had one of
yeah,
those.
Here, I'll
yeah.
show.
They're kind of
Um,
like very conch, but they have the thing
yeah,
that they.
these.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that big long snout thing.
And you'll
Yeah,
see just poking out of the sand most of the time.
Yeah, yeah.
my
Now
sister
this,
calls them like mini conches.
yeah, they look similar. Now the snails I had when I started were seraph. They're
Ceres?
seraph. It's Cerith.
Oh,
They're little. They're not too exciting.
Oh yes, yes, yes. They're pretty cool
Yeah.
little snails.
oh yeah. Okay, so they're
But yeah, eventually my cleanup crew, all I had a whole bunch of different snails and crabs, but eventually they all died other than my one little crab that's 7 years old now.
Oh wow.
wow.
Lost last of the other ones about a year ago. I had when I got my crabs, they came in a pack and I ordered just the blue leg crabs, but what they sent me was a mix. I had some blue legs, some red legs, and I had these ones and they were little at the time, but they're either called black legged crabs or stripe legged crabs. And they ended
I
up
think I.
getting big. They got
Yeah,
about
you
two inches
live.
or so, but they were good with the seahorses. And I think I just got lucky because they grew up with the seahorses. They were little crabs. And by the time they grew big, they didn't mess with the seahorses because you really shouldn't
Oh,
keep that kind of crab with seahorses. But
no.
Yeah.
and
I
there
had the
was
same experience. I got some blue legs from a local store, and one of them was the same as what you're describing, with the
oh yeah,
lateral black and white stripes. And he hasn't become
yes,
a problem for me. He just hangs out in the reef tank. But yeah, I
yeah.
don't know if I would put him in the seahorse. I've had him already for a
They
year, so.
They have potential, and mostly it's not even that they're going to try to eat them or attack them, but like I said, they have those sharp, pointy feet.
hmm
So if
Yeah, they
if they're
do.
climbing something and the seahorses are
Yeah, mine
sitting
are just
on
like
something,
while like I start feeding them, and if my seahorses are hitched, my crabs just get super excited and they start running
oh
towards
yeah,
the food, which is up or
yes,
on the sea.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, I usually have to crabs before I feed the anemones because they'll go and take the shrimp or whatever right out of the anemone's mouth.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's,
yeah.
they're super excited.
They're mischievous. I feed my seahorses in dishes. They eat from a little dish like you would feed a dog. And my
Nah,
crabs would go in the dish too. And the way
no.
I stopped them from messing with the seahorses was I'd feed the seahorses with a turkey baster, right?
Mhm.
So when the
Oh yeah,
crabs
yeah.
were going for the seahorses' food, I'd push them back with the turkey baster.
Okay.
Yeah, I said push it. Like, no, you
Did
get
that
away.
too.
And eventually they figured it out and they'd wait and then they'd come eat, after the
Oh,
seahorses.
that's pretty neat. Yeah.
They can
Oh,
learn.
that's neat. Wow.
See, mine are not that smart.
You might be surprised if if they start getting where you don't want them to go. Push them
Yeah,
away
Yeah.
with your
mostly on like
thing
the
and see.
hitches. They're like if they're on like this hitch that's here, like I can't push them on it off it because they're holding on for dear life. They're
Oh
not.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Not like. See, I have bare bottom on
no,
my
but yeah,
tanks. Don't have sand, so it's slippery, right? So the crab would be walking on the ground up to the dish, and I just go.
Yeah.
yeah, they're.
Oh.
Um, does anyone? Do you have any more questions, Joey or Holly? Do you have any more questions or comments?
I do not. Haven't looked at chat. Do we have anybody today?
We have three people, which
I don't.
means, uh,
There we go. Now I'm seeing chat.
yeah. So we have three people, which would probably be Ray, my dad, and one other person. We have one viewer. Uh, I don't know. We don't have
So there's nobody to ask any questions.
no.
Well, I have a question for Joey
Hmm.
then about the other fish you're keeping. So in the freshwater tank
Sure. Yeah.
behind you, that's a pretty cool looking tank. Who's in there? What fish do you have in there?
In this tank, this one has, I have, actually, I don't know the scientific name, but there's these cool angelfish that I got, and there's a pair of them that I've been keeping
Oh,
and growing out. And they've kind of become a menace to my plants, but I've
nice.
been letting it slide. And then there's a few patties that I've bred, just maybe 5 or 6 of them.
Uh-huh.
Then I have Siamese algae eaters. There's some autocats. There is a pair of fairy cichlids as well in here, and there's also a
Cool.
little shell dweller cichlid that I got because he was all by himself in a fish store, so I tossed him in there, and he's got
Oh,
some
cool.
shells that he hangs out in. I would like to get him a pair, but they're kind of not so easy to find where I am, but eventually. And then other than
Uh-huh.
that, it's just some plecos, and there might be a couple peppered corydoras in there. And then mostly my plants. I have an obsession with anubias and stuff like that. I probably have like 10 different species of anubias that I've been collecting over the years and growing up.
Wow.
I just kind of
Cool.
keep myself busy
What
with that.
what size is that tank?
This is a 55 tank.
What size?
55 gallons. It's
Nice.
I think 4 feet long, maybe like 14 inches
Uh-huh.
wide, and I think 26 tall. Yeah.
Very cool. It's beautiful.
Well, thank you.
You can't tell the angelfish are eating the plants. They're probably just trimming them for you.
That's good. Yeah. No, it's not that
Maybe I need
cool.
some. I have a freshwater tank that's getting overgrown with plants, and maybe I need one of those.
Yeah, they'll do the trick for sure. They keep at it. Yeah.
Oh, Chris Carey is here. He's in Australia,
Oh, cool.
and yeah, he has a question about your fish.
The
Looks like.
Shins. Is it a multi?
Shellies are
Is
cool.
that a species? Shell-
Chris, Kelly was supposed to be late, but she didn't show up. I don't exactly know what happened to her. I don't know. I never really know with Kelly.
Her life is crazy.
Yeah.
She's managing gas stations. I can't imagine a crazier
And she was
job
being like
than
audited, I
managing
think, today. So
stores.
yeah, she might not be
Yeah,
here. Kelly
yeah,
keeps us on our toes.
yeah, yeah. No, management's tough, especially in retail type management, like what she's doing. It's crazy. So she's hit and miss these days.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. We're Oh,
Oh yes, it is that is the species I
it's
have.
a nickname
That's correct.
for a species of shell dweller from Lake.
Yes,
I don't
I
know.
just found that on Google. That is the one I have.
Tanganyika.
Just the little one.
How do you pronounce that lake? Tanganyika? Tanganyika?
Yeah,
Tanganyika.
Tanganyika?
I think it's Tanganyika. Yeah,
Tanganyika?
yeah.
I've never heard of
yeah. I
that lake.
believe they're also from there as well. I might be mistaken, but they're like a rather peaceful type of cichlid where you can get away
Uh-huh.
with keeping them in a
Yeah.
community tank
So
because
they're
they
in
have.
Africa, right?
Yes, yes, correct.
Yeah. I've had cichlids. I haven't had cichlids in years. They were one of my first aquarium fish, actually. I had the
Yeah, they're
convict
the cool
one, the
species.
blue and
Yeah,
black ones that you can't
yeah,
have with other fish.
Wait,
yeah.
Joey,
My nana had those when I was a kid.
what type of cichlids are you
Hmm.
keeping?
Sorry,
What type of cichlids are you keeping?
I have just the two species, and I believe they're both from that lake. The one they mentioned, which is just a small miniature cichlid, and then there's another one which doesn't get much bigger, maybe 3 or 4 inches, and they're called a fairy cichlid. And I don't know if I'd be able to point it out. They're probably hiding in the plants, but they're both. I wouldn't say peaceful, but they're not gonna like hunt down and like I wouldn't. They're not really a problematic
They're
fish.
more community fish.
Yeah,
I
they
gotta write those
Because
down.
I
Freshwater
know my
shell
fish.
dad
dwellers
wanted
are.
to keep my dad
Sorry.
wanted to keep some cichlids, but he wanted to keep cichlids, except he got like blue convict cichlids. I don't know if you know them.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I
Yeah,
started
but
with. Like I said,
the store was
yeah.
like, oh, they're totally like peaceful. It's fine. They
Oh
had
no.
babies and they were bad before the babies. After, yeah, he had to give them back.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh
but
wow.
Oh my gosh. I have a story about those cichlids. They are so hardy. Like I said, they were one of my first freshwater aquarium fish when I was starting out. I had two of them in like a 20 gallon, I want to say, when I was about 10 or 12. And I mentioned earlier, we live in the mountains kind of here. And my family was
Yes.
away from home. We were visiting my grandparents, and we got snowed in at my grandparents' house. The power went out,
Oh wow.
and I came home and found the fish were white. I mean, and they're normally blue and black,
ooh,
right? It was so cold. There was a
Yeah.
layer of ice on the tank, and the
Oh
and the fish had turned
my.
white. I thought they were
Oh
oh
wow.
my
dead.
god.
I I slowly warmed up the water and they came back to life. They were just like
Oh
hibernating.
my
Oh,
god.
They were so cold.
yeah.
Nuts. Yeah. Another
They certainly
time I
definitely
found one
heavier fish.
on the floor. I came home from school and one of them had jumped out of the tank and was lying on the floor, motionless. Thought it was
Oh
dead. Picked it up, put it back in the tank, and he was fine.
Wow.
Those fish are something else.
oh my
We
god.
have
Those
we have a
Wow.
question here from Abby Len. She said, was wondering if anyone has advice on starting saltwater as a beginner. If you wanted to start with a nano tank for just coral, no fish, what kind of filtration setup would you recommend? Um,
Hmm.
does anyone have any thoughts on that?
Well, personally, I wouldn't start with a nano, I don't think, because it's actually harder to keep your
Mm-hmm.
perimeters even in a smaller tank. I would go probably like the way I did it, the way I started saltwater was actually fish only tank.
Hmm.
And I just used hang on back filtration like you'd use in a freshwater tank.
Yeah.
But I kept like hardy fish like the damsels
Yeah.
Okay.
and just learned from there. So So once you start learning how to keep your perimeters, I think, is probably the hardest part of saltwater. And once you get used to that and you're learning and you do some research, start adding, one thing at a time, like a coral or a live rock or a harder to keep thing. I mean, that was kind of how I did it. I studied a lot. I'm the kind of person that reads a lot.
Yeah.
So I read a lot of books. Back when I started, we didn't have the internet, like I said. So I actually got books at the library and bought books at the pet store and started learning, what was involved in keeping a saltwater tank. And then my first one was very simple, like I said. And then I just, I went straight from fish to seahorses. I didn't do the whole coral thing
Yeah.
until I did the seahorses, actually.
Wow.
I mean, how about you, Joey? How did you start with
I
saltwater?
started out with I think it was a 30 gallon tank, and I went
Mhm.
right with the live rock, and a pair of
Mhm.
Clarky clowns. And initially, there was a local hobbyist that kind of helped me. I gave him a freshwater tank setup, and he gave me a like kind of setup to go saltwater tank, and it was same thing, hang on the back, pretty simple setup. And
Mhm.
I think the same as I kind of slowly, and it's expensive reefing, so it kind of works out as to once in a while
Get
I
it.
would go and be like, okay, and you
Mhm.
take the time, you do the research, and that like now I've put together a really nice community of fish and corals that all work symbiotically, and I think that's something that is important to take the
Mhm.
time to put it together and no rushing, because you can kind of get your pair of damsels or whatever here and there, and figure out if you
Mhm.
want to do that different species down the road and what they might need. And it's kind of important to really put that thought into it, because some fish might grow up to be destructive or whatever like that. But yeah, I
Mhm.
just started it out pretty simple and let that go, and slowly kind of advance. But I personally, I don't have any desire to get anything into anything more advanced than the soft corals. Maybe one day, but I find them to be a little bit more intimidating with the ones that have the skeletons and all of that. And I
Yeah.
I was when I first got into it, somebody gifted some to me, and I wasn't prepared for them. And I don't want to kill anything, and so I until I understand fully what they need,
Right.
I don't want to risk that. But with the soft corals, I've been very successful. I've successfully fragged
Mhm.
multiple species of them, and I'm still learning that. But it's a lot of fun for sure.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, and as for
Yeah.
recommendation, oh sorry, go ahead.
Mhm.
No, I was just gonna say that when I started this tank, obviously I've never had a saltwater tank. My dad had a little 4 gallon. It crashed once. I took the corals. We put the corals back in. It's in the process of crashing again right now. Uh, so
Uh,
it's definitely not easy because he went into it kind of thinking it was going to be the same experience as mine, right? Mine wasn't too hard to set up. Uh, it was definitely not. And he did not get easy corals because we won this like draw thing. He got
yeah,
hard corals, too many to start with.
yeah,
Right when I set up this tank, I went super slowly, like to the point where people were like, "Oh, you're never gonna get your seahorses." That's a different issue. But yeah, they were like, "Oh, you'll never get them." And I was like, "Well, I am. I'm just going super slowly." Right. I added like a few hermit crabs, then my goby, a few corals.
Mhm. That's a smart way to do it. That's how I did it too. It took me months from starting the tank before I got the seahorses because
yeah,
I started actually with live rock
Yeah.
and went from there. Then I got, like you were saying, I got the cleanup crew was what I got first. And then I got a goby and a mandarin. And then the seahorses were last.
Yeah. Well, okay, so sorry, Joey, I cut you off.
yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Oh no, that's okay. I was just listening.
Sorry, I'm confused. You glitched out and I didn't hear anything.
No,
I
no,
was
no.
just
I
asking
wasn't saying
if you have
anything.
any.
Oh, good.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Say it
Do you have
again.
any advice for like nano tanks?
For Nano, I am trying myself to learn about them. Trying to figure out more about it. My advice would be maybe if you're going to start down that road, um, you want to keep it very simple. Maybe like a piece of live rock and one mushroom coral, something if that's what you're going to go with, and as starting out, and for your filtration, like maybe a hang on back filter would be your best bet for a tank that's smaller. And you just have to keep in mind that it is going to require more maintenance, and you probably have to be on top of cleaning your filtration and water changes and topping off to keep the salinity correct more frequently, I would think. But I don't
Okay.
know if I would
At
necessarily
least I
recommend.
guess in a small tank, the water changes aren't as big.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I've seen that with my
And
dad's.
I'm changing out. I my tank now. I'm down to one, but it's a 55 gallon, and the sump's about 20 gallons. So I'm changing out now that I combined my tanks into one. I'm doing like let's see, 30 gallons a week.
Wow.
Plus the daily. Like my once a week water change is 30 gallons, and that's a lot of water.
Yeah. It.
And how big is your aquarium?
It's a 55, and then my sump is 20 gallon.
Oh,
And then
nice.
I had a 75 gallon. I had two. My grow out tank was a 75 gallon. So I had a bunch of my juveniles grew up in there, the ones that I couldn't sell. So I had the 75 gallon, and then I had my display tank as a 55 gallon. And then as I gradually started losing the seahorses, like I said, they're older. So one would pass away now and then. So when I got down to where I only had a total of five seahorses, I combined them all into one tank.
Mhm.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And Abby was
Well,
just
that's pretty
saying.
cool. And do you,
Sorry, keep going.
sorry? Oh, I was just going to ask if she gets to see a lot of like social behaviors between them as a group.
Hmm. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's like a soap opera in there, really. The way they interact, and if you spend a lot of time watching them, which I have, my display tank is next to my couch in the living room, so they'll be sitting right next to me, so
Oh,
I
wow.
can sit there and watch them right next to me and see what's going on. And they're very social. That's why they always recommend having at least two, because they hang out together, and it's funny because like the males, like if you have a mix of males and females, they all have their own personality, but in my experience, the males will bicker, but they don't hurt each other. They can't hurt each other. But you'll see them like snick each other,
Yeah.
with the snout, like they're pecking.
Oh,
You, you,
okay.
you
Yeah.
they'll kind of fight, but it's not a real fight.
No,
And
no.
it's only over a female, like at the moment, like if they're trying to
No.
breed or whatever, then
I
like 10
see.
minutes later, you'll see them sitting next to each other eating.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, and they'll hang out with each other in different groups. Like you'll see one, you'll walk by one time a day, and you'll have a group of girls all hanging out together, and the boys are hanging out together over here. And then
Oh,
another time you'll walk by, and okay, so now a boy's hanging out with the girls and a girl's hanging out with the boys, or they get into pairs. But they, another reason I tell people, because sometimes people are keeping seahorses, they want to do like a tall tank.
Yes.
And I tell them, make it long. Don't go
Mhm.
just tall because they cover a lot of territory. They
Yeah.
explore and they'll go actually, back and forth. So they might want to hang out on this side of the tank in the morning with this group of seahorses, and just like people, they're going to be okay. Now I'm going to go over here and visit these people on the other side of the tank.
Yeah. Interesting.
They're interesting with their little social
Yeah.
behaviors.
That's very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I was just seeing that Abby was saying that thank you so much, everyone. A larger tank might feel intimidating, but absolutely true. I honestly would say that once you've gotten into the hobby, smaller tanks feel more intimidating than big ones, at least to
Mm,
me. They might, yeah. In terms of like overall like price, for example, the big ones obviously are gonna be more intimidating. Um, but yeah, I feel like the small ones are just generally harder because you don't have that like buffer zone.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just more water is more forgiving
Exactly.
of your mistakes. Like it's easier to overdose a tank that's 2 or 4 gallons than it is a 50 gallon. If you're putting drops of something in your tank, which some people do, to feed coral or whatever they're doing, it if you put too many in a big tank, the
Yeah. Very.
volume of
Yeah.
water is going to eat it up. It won't be that detrimental. But if you put that same amount of drops into a gallon or two of water,
Yeah.
that can cause it a bigger problem.
Yeah. It's a lot harder to resolve stuff. I guess problems will probably progress a lot quicker too with less water volume. And
Yes.
in the
Ex-
comments said they could use a sump to increase the overall water volume, which I guess is
yeah.
another solution for sure.
Yeah. People do that. And I've even seen that done, I think maybe with a guest we've had on here before, doing like dwarf seahorses, having a dwarf seahorse set up in a
Hmm.
very small tank, a couple gallons, but behind it they have maybe like a 20-gallon sump,
Yeah, yeah,
so that they have more water circulating in the system than
exactly.
that little tank. And I think that's probably an excellent way to do it if you want a small display tank. You could do a small display tank hooked to a larger sump and maybe have an easier time.
Oh, that's cool.
And then Chris was asking, anyone here have a species that they're dreaming of keeping or actively working towards keeping? I guess in terms of seahorses or other fish, I'm not sure if it's seahorse specific.
Good question,
I
I guess.
bet it's I bet it's seahorse
Seahorse specific.
specific. I don't really, yeah, really, I'm keeping them.
Honestly, I don't even know where I would get them from if I. The only breeder really around, or at least reliable breeder around here, is Cultured by Science, and he only does Erectus, I think. So
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't really have the choices
yeah,
here that we used to have. And honestly, I've kept a few different kinds of seahorses. The reed eye are very beautiful. They're very beautiful seahorse. I thought they were very pretty, but my erectus seahorses have such
hmm,
personality
mm,
compared to my reed
yeah,
eye that I think my favorite are actually the erectus.
yeah. To be honest, I would love to keep pot-bellied seahorses just because I like their shape.
Oh, yeah,
But again,
yeah.
it's Chris. It's definitely not like in Australia where I think you find a lot more species.
Yeah,
No, it's
they have.
hard. I've been searching because I'm actively trying to get the seahorses right, and the only other place than Cultured, Ray recommended the Coral Reef Shop, and they just got back to me actually. They recently had, oh, I can't remember the species. It started with a B.
Barbary.
Uh, yes,
Barbori.
they
Hmm.
currently don't have any stock, and soon they'll have the Cuda and the red eye,
Yeah,
or the one
food
Holly was
eye.
saying.
Great eye, yeah.
So kind of
Wait,
interesting. I
which
don't know if
store
you
is
do
that?
the
The
Coral Reef
Coral Reef
Shop.
Shop.
So
Sorry, I did not
maybe,
do that.
yeah.
Uh,
So maybe you could look towards getting some other species in the future if
yeah.
you
Okay.
really wanted to.
Well, I think for
Uh,
now, I think my parents would kick me out of the house if I were to get another
yeah, I got
aquarium.
lucky.
So,
I know. I got lucky with that. I don't know, I just had a way of convincing my mom to, I guess it was just my passion behind
well,
keeping
my
the animals,
parents
right?
have agreed to a lot.
Yeah.
Because we've had like rats, dogs. I have a gecko
Oh,
over there in my room, and I have
oh,
like two aquariums here. But
cool.
we also want to go on vacation, which means that it's hard to get someone to stay here.
Yeah, not easy to do.
And it's kind of
I would say that my parents agreed to most of the decisions. I think I just brought them home.
I think that now that I think that that's probably how I got away with it too.
Oh, look, Mom, I have a fish tank
Oh
now.
my God. Yeah, mom would come home and be like, "Where did that tank come from?" No, that was there.
I mean, yeah,
see,
yeah.
my parents would not do that. They would not. I honestly, what I
Oh,
really
I'm
want now is a
sorry.
bird. Not another aquarium, but
Uh,
it's fun.
Birds are messy. I would not recommend a
We've
bird in
had
personal
we had a
experience.
bird at one point, but
Oh,
that is kind of my
Oh,
mom's problem that they're messy and they kind of like to destroy things.
yeah. They're very
I have
rewarding,
a
but
Nande conure, and I miss my Nande conure, Cody. He was a wonderful pet for me, but he didn't like anybody but me, and
yeah.
he was mean. And when I met my husband tried to make friends with him, and that bird tried to kill him.
Oh God.
Yeah, I love birds too, but yeah, I can't have them if I want to stay married.
Fair enough, eh? Yeah,
Oh,
they're really cool. I have a friend in British Columbia that has like a couple different parrots, macaws, and stuff that he's rescued, and they are very
oh,
fascinating. But every time we're on the phone, all you can hear is the birds are talking and talking and yelling, and oh God.
Yeah.
yeah, my bird was very vocal.
We had a conure, so it wasn't quite as loud as like a macaw, but
Oh yeah, that
yeah.
was mine, a conure. I had a
I
Nande.
don't remember what
Yeah, they
type,
can.
but
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
The
And Chris,
Jandays have the orange head, the orange yellow heads. The Nande has a black head. So mine, his head was black, his body was green, and there's other
I think
kinds
mine was
too.
like a.
There's,
Hold on. I'll give you some.
that
there's
was a
some really
I had too. It was, but I think it was a certain morph or something, a pineapple. I don't know if that's a type or a coloration. Was a
yeah, they
pine.
come in really pretty colors now. I've seen back when I got mine. I mean, I was 18 when I got my bird, so that was like in 1988. And the two kinds that we had in the pet store would be the Janday or the Nanday were the ones we'd see.
I had.
Oh, Chris
I
also
have.
said, "Can seahorses fish invert corals?"
Oh yes, I have.
I recently got a black
Whatever.
widow, and
I always wanted an African gray parrot. That's
it
not a
was
fish,
very
but I've always
cool.
wanted an African
My
gray.
uncle has one named
They're smart.
Louie, and I used to get to babysit him every year when he would go on vacation, and it was like just the coolest thing. They're amazing birds, and they can vocalize almost
Oh yeah.
exactly like whoever they're trying to sound like. Oh my God! I so
Oh
many
Wait,
yeah.
times
sorry.
I
What species of bird? I'm so distracted.
African gray
Oh my
parrots.
god, I want one
The
so badly.
Yeah,
African gray parrot.
they're crazy. I'd be like in my room playing a game, and all of a sudden I'd hear my uncle yell, "Relax!" I'm like, "What the heck is that?" And it's the parrot just in his cage yelling at me through the cage.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Another thing, oh, I was in my local fish store. Well, it's a pet store, so not just fish, but I was getting my frozen mysis a couple weeks back, and they had these little baby
Oh
turtles.
yeah.
About they were the cutest things.
Yeah.
Little punch. I wanted them so bad, and I almost brought one home, and I thought better, and then I looked it up because I asked her how long they live, because that's one thing I've learned to ask about pets, and I looked it up, and they can live like 50
Yeah.
years, and I'm like, I don't know, and they get a little bigger like Chris,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I
That is
no,
something
I
to
don't want a
understand.
turtle for 50
If you get
years.
like any pet, the it's a
Yeah.
commitment, and you have to be ready for like if it lives out the full years that it possibly can.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
Yeah. Turtle.
no, I learned that lesson with a tadpole I caught like in a lake
No.
near where I live years
yeah.
ago. I caught him in my coffee cup. I was on a walk and I caught a few tadpoles in my coffee cup, brought it home. Oh, I'm going to raise them into frogs. I had this, they turned into toads. And one of them, I had him like 15
Oh
years.
god.
Wow.
And I had to buy him crickets every
Like
week, and now, like, you don't think about it sometimes when you
yeah.
get these little
Mhm.
animals, like little tadpoles. I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. I'll have a pet frog." How long do frogs live? Oh, 20 years. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. They are. Yeah. I've had some friends who don't realize the commitment it actually is, and then they just kind of get
Yeah.
bored of them.
Yeah, some things can be a lot of work. Like turtles are amazing creatures, but I was gonna say like if seahorses are dirty, you would be surprised. Turtles are like probably. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a seahorse, but
Oh,
turtles
yeah.
are messy, messy animals. Oh my good.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Have you also
Oh,
kept
yeah.
turtles?
I have kept turtles. I used to keep
Course.
pink belly side neck turtle. They're from Australia actually, and they're really beautiful species of
My
turtle.
sister-in-law had a
Oh
tortoise,
yeah,
and
Mhm.
about messy. I won't even go into what they will
yeah,
do in in your house.
yeah. Oh my god, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, do you have any other questions? Because it's getting pretty late now. Um, we've already been here
yeah.
for an hour and
I
a
don't.
half, and we're kind of not.
Yeah, I don't have much more to say, and we're already off the
Yeah.
subject of seahorses.
Oh, that's all good. All right. Is there any other questions? Last call for questions.
Not off the top of my head, no.
No. And
No.
no one else in the comments. So, all right.
I think so.
Then we will say Happy Wine Wednesday, and we
Happy
will
One Wednesday.
hold on. Happy Wine
Cheers.
Wednesday, everyone.
Cheers.
And cheers. We
Fine.
will see you next week.